Is Mitch beyond?
No, he's not watching yet.
I'm gonna sit way over here. Actually, I'm already sitting. Did we? Oh,
The mic's not that big.
That's 6:45. 6:30.
He just told me the same thing.
Okay.
Usually never camera today. We should switch these spots.
There's one of you.
Okay, we'll get started. Being an open session, 6 o'clock. Everybody rise. Cynthia's going to lead us on the pledge, and then remain standing and go.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let's pray. Father, we come before you with grateful hearts for the victory for our hockey team. You know, team won, and we're so proud of them and pray, Lord, that you bless them, and pray for the family of the team member that passed in the accident, and we pray that you give them courage as well. Thank you for the blessings that are ours here in Holtville, and we pray, Lord, as we do the business of this community, that honor the citizens will give this privilege to us, and do it in such a way that honors you as well. We ask in Jesus' name.
Thank you. First, presentation posting of the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, the agenda was posted on Friday, February 20th.
What?
Your microphone.
Friday, February 20th.
Okay, any announcements from executive session, Mr. Driscoll, is he on?
I don't think he's on.
We have 2 viewers.
I don't believe there were any announcements from.
Thank you. Okay, this time is the public comments section. The public may address the city council on any item that does not appear on the agenda for this meeting within the preview of the city council. Do we have any public comments? Please, section your name and address for the record.
Hello, everyone. My name is Devin Gray. I'm in 1408 East 10th Street here in Holtville. I'm here to give a back brief for the Citizens Advisory Committee that I'm a part of, that I participate on behalf of the City of Holtville. City of does have a new warden. He came on last month. Warden, if I'm not mistaken. Forgive me, I left all my notes. I got it out of track practice, so I'm going based off memory of my notes. The biggest one that's coming up is the shoe drive. So every year they do prison does a fundraiser. Previously they were doing bikes to give kids, all that good stuff. But after COVID, they had some hard times. No one wanted to buy bikes anymore. So last year, actually did it last year, they made a deal with Skechers, and they were able to provide, I believe, like probably 300 kids with 2 pairs of new shoes. We don't have any direct touch with who gets selected to get those shoes. They have a representative to do that, but I did ensure that that representative made sure that Holtville was included in that for the canvassing with the needy children that needed. That was the biggest one that we talked about, and that was just report back to the community. Anyone have any questions? Yes.
Stefan, I have a question. So is it the inmates that are fundraising?
Yes,
for-
the inmates fundraise, and then the funds are turned over to the advisory committee for us to use to help get back to the community. We sit down and talk with the inmates, you know, give them feedback, and they give us feedback. We don't know what we were doing, and just keep them abreast of everything that was going on. I want to say they raised somewhere around like $12,000. So we were able to get last year we were able to get kids last shoes. This year, I think the target is the first week of August. That's what we're targeting. There's no official date yet, but we're trying to target the first week of August. The great thing about it is the parents show up, and the parents aren't allowed in there because they're extremely heavy influence. And Representative, I was in there last year. We walked the kids around. We make sure they get the right shoe size. We give them bag of popcorn and some goodies.
So they get to pick their shoes. Mom and
Yes,
Dad
they
don't
get
get
to pick their shoes. Whatever that kid wants, that's
That's
what
cool.
they get.
Very
Hey, Mr. Gray, I think kudos to you for the carrot races during the carrot festival. I think you had record numbers, right? How many runners
Yes,
did you have?
but next year the new goal is 300. We're really trying to get 300. We're still hovering at that 250, but we're really trying to get 300. So that's the big goal for next year. But we've already come up with plans to really achieve that.
Well, that was fantastic. And another thing, I understand you have record numbers on your track team this year.
Yes, sir. Currently we have 85 kids at both boys and girls. We have enough to field varsity as well as JV and a little extra on the side. Not that I'm nosy, but I do know that we're the third largest team in the valley. Central is one.
That's fantastic.
I do know that. So it's going to be a dogfight for IDL this year, and so my boys and girls, they know it's going to happen.
And your state hurdler is back, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. So great job with that program. I know the last 2 years you really built up the numbers with that program. So you've done a great job. Thank you. Okay, any other public comment? I think we have a report from the Sierra Valley Housing Authority. Our two representatives are here, Mr. Brian Vega and Ricky Don, San Steven, Pacheco, however many names we're going to get.
I go by them all. I'm gonna use. Good evening, I am Ricky Dennis with Pacheco, 1951, Hotel,
Class of 86.
class 86.
We won't hold that.
Well, you know, it's gotta be somewhere, it's gotta be somewhere. I am here tonight as one of the board of commissioners that represent Holtville to the Sierra Valley Housing Authority. Our meetings are held once a month, and either Brian Vega or myself will attend the following council meeting to deliver brief update. So currently, Holtville has one development that falls within the housing authority, Mesa Vista Homes on 57th. There are 30 units, and the majority of the time, this area is very well kept, very tidy. The look can go anywhere from lush and green to dry and dusty, depending on the weather, depending on the season. Last month, they had delinquent rents that totaled about $1,400, and I feel like every month there's some delinquent rents that come from there. A recent review of the public housing assessment system produced a score of 88 out of 100, which is designated as a standard performer. This is a very low score and a very rare occurrence, and in fact, typically our scores are high when used as examples for teaching opportunities for other areas. So the executive director, Kurt Mann, submitted a request to follow up as an appeal, citing an inconsistent and error calculation. So if that appeal is granted, the score would become a high performer standard and with a score of 92. So we're hoping that comes through. The ever-changing HUD is not funding vouchers at this moment going forward, and noting that a shortfall of funding in general, and all public housing authorities are waiting for Congress to pass their budget so that they can move forward once again. We are still in a to be determined date for the dedication of a bench and a plaque for Joan Jenks. In the circle of the housing development, they pulled the tree. Everything's ready. I think they're working with Ivy to get a tree in there as well as the bench and plaque. So hopefully that will come updated soon, sometime in the March, April time. But, any questions you have for me?
Well, it's not a question, it's a comment. Early 60s, mid 60s, somewhere in there, I was very young. You didn't get in the 67 this year?
My grandparents lived there as well, growing up.
Well, not at the same time, because I was.
No. No, before then as well. So yes, there's long generational that.
It was in
That was
residence once when my mother forgot my birthday. My parents came in and I was already in bed crying myself to sleep. And they came to, oh, sorry, I'm not sure this thing. Like, they forgot they had a kid named mine. That's happened to others?
My dad brought mine this year, but it was the first one he didn't have my mom around with him.
He's got a good excuse. Now, my parents did not have a good excuse. They did apologize and promised me next day they'd take it.
It's kind of like 16 candles. They got you at the last minute, right?
So with that moving forward, are there specific things on the housing authority that you want to make sure we report back on? I haven't been really given a lot of directions for what you're interested in. There's a lot of city councils and a lot of commissioners that don't meet, so I didn't know that. Just be sure to say this.
I think we were just doing the reappointing things last month, and everyone was like, hey, it'd be nice to hear from these people, see what they do every now and again since they
We
represent
are
us.
here, we do meet, yes. Yeah. So I know that with the just meeting once a month, there's not really a big use for us to come to both your council meetings, but one of us will be here every time and say something with you. It's fun.
Speaking of something, wait, here you go.
No, there you go. Hi.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Vega, class of 2016. I hope maybe that also has some same grandeur as like the ones from the first one. Maybe we'll get that. It's a little early for that. But I wanted to share in like the past year that we've been appointed, we've gone on conferences. We went to the one in Florida and then the one in Las Vegas. So we went through all the trainings, and I think I was just going to start from all support. We're going to do an amazing job at our first report, but it took us a little bit to kind of come up to full speed with how housing authority works and like HUD and all those things. But we have a proper footing in there. They sit also on the finance committee and the bylaws committee, so there's some stuff getting shaken up. And I don't want to speak too soon or too early about it, but I think at the last meeting, Kirk said that they're looking for a potential new housing development here in Holtville. But he said it's very early stages, so maybe we'll have something substantive to report back.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. The rest of us are
Good evening, Council. Brian Vega, 663 Pine Avenue. But I'm not being the Commissioner of Housing in my day job. I am an organizer with the United Auto Workers of UAW. So my focus is workforce development in the Lithium Valley. And I'm going to share a presentation with you all. I'm not going to do it, don't worry. But I just have for you today an invitation to submit a public comment to the draft programmatic environmental impact report that was released on December 30th. The public comment period ends on March 2nd, which is in 7 days. And basically, we've all been waiting for Lithium Valley. We're very excited. And this draft report examines how the development will move forward and what the relation to the environmental impact would be, but more specifically, what it means for our water, our energy, and those resources. This document is over 7,000 pages. I haven't even read a book this year, so I couldn't even imagine trying to read it. But within our organization, we have a bunch of consultants and legal experts who have read the document, synthesized, and you'll find further details in the presentation. And my contact information is also in there if you have any questions. But yeah, just wanted to invite you all to participate in this process. Earlier this year, we had heard about a battery recycling facility coming to Holtville, and felt it was alarming. It was a wake-up call. So just felt the need to kind of come here and speak a little about that. But yeah, thank you for your time. And I can do this, you all. Like, can I approach the back? And I forgot one, but y'all can just send the notes to the council when we're here.
Thank you, Brian. Any other public comment?
Brian,
None? Okay. We'll move on to the consent agenda. The items on the consent agenda are to be approved without comment. Should any council member or member of the public wish to discuss any item, they may request that the item be removed from the consent agenda based on new business agenda. We have two, first one is approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of Monday, February the 9th, 2026. And the second one is pretty demands 49009 through 48024. Council?
I move for approval of consent agenda.
Second. We have a motion by Mr. Goodell and second by Mr. Anderson. Roll call vote?
Mike Goodsell,
Yes.
Joe Munger is absent. Murray Anderson,
Yes.
Vanessa Ramirez,
Yes.
and Mike Pacheco.
Yes. Motion passes 4-0 with one absent. Okay, so our next is the reports of officers, committees, and committees. We'll start off, you want me to skip you? Okay, we'll start with the city manager. Well,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll withhold until the end and just get it all out at once.
okay, thank you. Vanessa?
Not much to report. I did have a participate in an interview today with a student from San Diego State University in the nursing program. He had some questions about health disparities in Holtville specifically. So we did get powwow for a little bit this morning. Aside from that, nothing else to report.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Anderson?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, since our last council meeting, I have had the opportunity to attend one of our planning commission meetings, one of the few and far between. That happened last week. Our city planner was there and gave a presentation, which I believe she's giving tonight. Also attended the Holtville Chamber of Commerce Board meeting last week as well, and they were going over the good, the bad, and the ugly from the Carrot Festival. So that meeting actually took a while. So a lot of good discussion, a lot of good ideas for the upcoming festival. And then since our last meeting, I also had the chance to go to St. Louis and see my daughter play her senior day basketball game in St. Louis.
She won.
She won that game, and she started and played a good game, and yeah, it was a good time. So, yeah, I mean, she's a couple months from graduation, so I don't know where that time went. Blue.
Right. Did they make mention of keeping the Carrot Festival the same weekend or moving it back to that way? Or was that not discussed?
They really liked the new vendor they used for the carnival rides. Because I don't believe it was the same, right?
It was
It was a different one, a different group. They liked them and their customer service and how they did everything. So I think it's gonna depend on them.
Thank you.
Mr. Goodell. Since the last time we were together, the Port Land Use Commission, and we approved a couple of projects there. One was just a zone change, municipality, and the other one. There was some renewable energy down toward the All-American Highway 98 battery storage project. And one of the significant things we did is finally have a new airport land use compatibility. For 30 years, we have voted about the and that was approved. Actually, the law went forward and signed the resolution. Put that in. That's all I got.
Thank you. City Treasurer, Mr. Morris.
Real quick, last meeting, Councilmember Ramirez, I talked about who's been in the parade. I found some people that marched in the very first parade. So I'm working with that and get with the Chamber of Commerce and
How
get
exciting.
that was really
You'll
surprising.
have to let me know like where they're staged next
Yes,
year.
we'll live
Say
in-
hello.
But
They
were
should be
Finley,
right, they should be the grand marshals.
they were Finley students. And back in the old days, remember Finley students marched in the parade? And so I found some Finley students who marched in the parade. I'll work on it.
Sounds like we got a grand
One of
marshal.
the new things in the parade this year, we had the 90-year-old.
Yes.
I heard a little anecdotal thing about why Finland students stopped marching in the parade, because they would get to the end of the route and so many parents forgot to pick up their kids that the teachers were like, can't do this
They didn't want to
anymore.
babysit. They didn't want to babysit them.
I will say though, TK was invited to attend this year and they did come out in the school bus this
you, Georgie. Chandler.
So Cynthia is going in place with me for the ICTC meeting this week. I'm heading to the CSMFO conference tomorrow. I'll be there. It's the California Society of Municipal Finance Officers, so I'll be with all the finance officers in the state, in Palm Springs. That's it related to work, and then I'm gonna take this opportunity to talk about something that's close to me, so take one and pass it down. This is for you. Many of you know my mom, my late mother, she was an educator for 30 years in the Imperial Valley. My family and I started an initiative here in the Imperial Valley in CASA called the James Sinclair Literacy Program. It's an initiative focused on building early reading skills, sparking imagination, promoting self-esteem in children who are facing social, economic, or family-based adversity. And we basically partner with libraries, we hand out age-appropriate books that are approved, we integrate art activities, and on my mom's birthday this year, I and along with my father and the program are hosting a fundraiser. We are gonna help expand the program. So it's called The Taste of Italy, Sharing Stories Through Food. It's gonna be an event that brings the community together with storytelling, small bites. My dad's gonna do a cooking demonstration. Some of you don't know, but my dad is an amazing chef. And we'll also have a literacy lounge in the area where foster youth will come and pick up good books and be read to by Chuck Fisher, who was an educator in the Central Valley. And so we are offering tickets. They're $25 plus like a $3 fee, and we're also offering a support ticket. So if you can't attend and you would like to support, there is a link for that as well. So I just wanted to pass that around and share something I'm doing in my personal life and in the community. So thank you for listening.
Good job.
Thanks for sharing.
Issue that one.
Thank you. Yeah.
City Planner Cynthia.
Hi there, good evening. So in collaboration with the city manager, we began reviewing zoning violations, and so we will begin sending out letters to make sure that we are being fair and giving the opportunity to look as best. And we began working with the California Natural Resources Agency for the Trestle Bridge, so that we can move that project forward. And we've been working with the developer for the Sunset Apartments so that we can help get that project moving forward.
Thank you. Any questions for Cynthia? No? Okay, so we'll go down to number 2, unfinished business. We have none. New business, discussion, debated action to adopt resolution 26 as approving the City of Holtville Draft 2025 General Plan Annual Progress Report. Cynthia, City
Francis was gonna present, I presented last week at Planning Commission to freshen up the presentation, and then Francisco has joined me.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, honorable city council, city staff, and members of the public. So for those who do not know me, my name is Francisco Barba. I'm an associate planner at the Holtville City. And it is with pleasure that I present to you the 2025 City of Holtville General Plan Annual Progress Report. So initially, the California Government Code Section 65300 requires all cities to adopt a general plan and then provide an annual progress report, just to ensure that whether or not the city has made a good, effective effort to achieve all the goals set out in the general plan. And as such, elements of the housing element and its own annual progress report is also included in this. So the report is, or the presentation is divided into 4 categories. It's essentially going to go over what a general plan is. It's going to go over the community profile of the city, essentially demographic data, employment data, all that, just to give the council a general idea of how much the city has changed, not just from 2023 to 24, but also from 2017 all the way up to 2024, and the reason it's 2017 is because the current general plan was adopted in that date. And then it's going to go over the general plan, the progress, so what projects has the city adopted to further the general plan programs, and then finally it's going to conclude with the housing element progress. So moving forward, so to begin, the general plan is divided into 6 distinct elements. While California law requires 7, it does allow the conservation and open space elements to be combined into one. So currently, the city of Holtville's general plan is comprised of the land use element that entails a lot of its zoning ordinance. That's where it's derived from. Circulation element. It essentially talks about all of the transportation networks, not just sidewalks, but also public transportation and roadway infrastructure. Conservation and open space, so a lot of essentially the wetlands, hiking trails, public spaces, parks. Safety element, it contains information on fire, safety, police. Noise element, essentially, it dictates the levels of noise, what's acceptable for each different type of land use. And then finally, the housing element, which describes the city's housing goals for the current housing element cycle, which currently is the 6th housing element cycle, which is from 2021 to 2029. So essentially, a housing element, it serves as a blueprint to revitalize older areas, assure public safety, find new uses for underutilized land, and enhance amenities for cultural resources. So essentially, it's a roadmap for the next 20 years of the city, and it also allows for the city to make amendments to the general plan, because sometimes a lot of things change, and maybe some goals that made sense in 2017, maybe they weren't as effective, and it gives the city council the opportunity to update it. So that's also the purpose of the general plan annual progress reports. Okay, so to begin, the city in 2025, the city made substantial progress towards the general plan annual progress reports. Given the list of all the projects the city has progressed in, the list right there, the 6 projects or the 5 projects, those are only the major ones. It does not include all of them, but just the main points. So the first one is that the city adopted an ordinance to facilitate the housing developments across the city. So this is the establishment of an accessory dwelling unit ordinance. And it also allowed for emergency shelters, as well as low barrier navigation centers and all other types of affordable housing as required by California law. The second major project is the city in 2025 completed the undergrounding of the I-80 canal along 9th Street between Mellon Road and Olive Avenue. And this is essentially the first step towards the West 9th Street pedestrian and bicycle improvement project. So once the canal was undergrounded, construction began on the 9th Street project. So that essentially, it consists of the construction of a new pedestrian sidewalk as well as a bicycle lane. And it's all utilizing STBG or State Transportation Block Grant funding. And then the fourth one is that the city has begun or has progressed on working to acquire funding for the Public Safety Center project. This is right across the street north of the City Hall, and that's where the new fire station is set to begin. So in 2025 or late 2025, the city has begun the process of applying for community development block grant funding to help finance the fire station project. So the CDBG grant is ongoing right now, and applications are due in April. And the final major one is that the city completed the final design for the Alamo River Trestle Bridge project, and at the start of this year, the bid document for the project went out to bid. So now moving on to the community profile. This is utilizing data from the United States, the US Bureau. So the Census Bureau, so essentially in 2024, the population of the city of Holtville is 5,617. That is a 0.2% change from 2023. So that's give or take around 10 to 11 people that they increase. However, when you compare it to from 2017 to 2020, and compared to now, the city has actually been decreasing in population. So it went from 2017 to about 6,300 to currently 5,632. So the average household size right now, recent in 2024, is 3.58 individuals per household. So that household size, it has decreased. So in prior years, it's been hovering around the 4.5 area, and that just decreased to about 3.58. The Hispanic population is approximately 86%. So that population has remained relatively the same since 2017 all the way to 2024, give or take a couple percentages change, 1 to 5% change. And then the median age is 34, so that has been increasing as of late. So compared to last year, it's about a 7% increase. So it went from about 32 to 34. And feel free to stop me if you have any questions or if you would like me to clarify the data even more. So now moving on to the housing stock. So there are approximately 1,840 dwelling units or households in Holtville. 69% of those dwelling units are comprised of single-family homes, 21% are multifamily or apartments, and then 10% is mobile homes. So from 2017, the adoption of the general plan, to 2024, which is the most recent data we have available, the city has increased its housing units by 13%. The median owner-occupied home value, so the property values, have increased from 2017 to 2024 by approximately 116%. So when you compare that to 2023, it's about a 1% increase, but compared to the last about 5, 6, 7 years, it has increased substantially. Then the renters paying 30% or more of their gross income on rent, it decreased by 18%. So approximately individuals that are renting, according to the data, compared to 2017 all the way to 2024, they are paying less of their income for rent. And the same goes with homeowners, which decreased by about 4%. And I'm moving on to educational attainment. So education, about 57% in 2024 of the population had a high school degree, was a high school graduate or higher, and that has remained relatively the same from 2017. And then individuals with a bachelor's degree has increased, so it went from 10% in 2017 up to 19%. So more individuals are proceeding with their higher education. And then graduate or professional degrees has decreased from 6% to 2%. And then K through 12 school enrollment, it went from about approximately 1,555 around there to about 1,573. So while the table shows a significant increase, we're talking about 1 or less than 1% increase. But it has remained relatively the same. And now moving on to the employment sector. So over 50% or approximately 50% of all jobs in the city are between education and agriculture. So education, that holds the top spot with 26%, and then you have agriculture with 23%, and then it just drops to around the 11% mark, 10%, then it goes down once you get into public admin, construction, wholesale, and all this. But most importantly, the highest job market here is education and agriculture. So when you look at the employee population or the individuals that are 16 or older, which is the age range to begin working, and that includes individuals seeking or trying to find a job. And that population decreased by 8% since 2017. The median yearly earnings increased by 5%, so individuals working are earning 5% more right now when compared to 2017. The unemployment rate saw an 8% decrease since then. And then the mean travel time to work saw a 30% decrease, so meaning individuals are finding jobs closer to home, so they're driving less to work.
Hey, Francisco,
Yes.
back on that last slide.
Mhm.
The employment by sector, and you said jobs, are those jobs here in Holtville or those jobs that residents of Holtville have?
So typically it's, for the census, it's jobs that residents from Holtville have.
Okay, because you said jobs in Holtville,
Yeah,
so that threw me off when you said that in your presentation.
yeah, I apologize for that, I misspoke in that case, but yeah, it is designated by individuals in Holtville with jobs in that sector, so there's no data to identify whether or not all those jobs are here.
Right.
So, but that's the closest we have
It's too
available.
small, it's too small of a
Right.
population set. It's, that we have Bell Central MSA is the larger aggregation of being able to pull the data together.
What section would your correctional officers fall under in those?
So correctional officers would fall under the other percent.
Well, probably the admin business.
And healthcare, where would that fall?
Healthcare, that would probably fall under admin. The thing to note is that these categories they're ranging wide. So for example, agriculture also includes fisheries, forestry, and all those types of sectors. And then recreation, you have recreation, but you also have arts, crafts, and other sectors. So
These are not categories that you guys created, it's based on the census, right?
Yes, all the categories are derived from the census data. However, we removed fisheries and all those items because there's no fishery jobs according to the census here in Holtville. So right now it's just being comprised of agriculture and education.
So Francisco, the number of education at 26%, what did they have in 2017?
So you're looking at around the same. In 2017, you're looking at about relatively the same. So it's the same rankings. You still have education and agriculture, but it will hover around the 18%.
I'm just wondering, during, I think education and healthcare, like in two of the areas where there's been more higher than most other areas, right?
Yeah, so education and agriculture right now, and historically, they've been the ones with the most employment. So when you look at, I have the data right here actually. So in 2017, education was at the top spot with 17%.
Okay, I thought they hired a lot more teachers after COVID, why I wanted to know if that number increased.
Yeah, so it did increase significantly from 17 to 25%. And then you have agriculture, which was at 41. So right from 2017, education has actually overtaken agriculture.
I wonder if we anticipated that those other apartments that they've done and they have more farm workers and if these numbers for agriculture are going to go up.
So these are temporary,
If they
so it's H2 visas for the temporary housing, so, I don't know that they would be into the census, into the census data. Well, the workers that would be living there would be temporary,
They wouldn't be involved in census.
And the census is voluntary, so you never know who maybe not.
So moving on to the sports section, which is the housing element progress. So in 2025, the city has constructed 2 new dwelling units, one above moderate, which is a single family home, and then one low income, which was an accessory dwelling unit. So the thing to note is that the state of California, or the Department of Housing and Community Development, establishes what they call RHNA or RHNA, and it's the Regional Housing Needs Allocation. So every housing element cycle, which is an 8-year cycle, so we're currently on the 6th cycle from 2021 to 2029. So they require cities across the state to develop a specific number of housing units from a variety of income types by the end of that cycle. So right now, in the 6th cycle, the city of Holtville was assigned 171 dwelling units to be constructed, 71 above moderate, 26 moderate, 33 low and 41 very low. So if you can see from 2023 to 2024, the 32 units is from the Sunset Rose Apartments, and the 44 is from the Pine Crossing Apartments. Those were accounted for, and the city actually exceeded the number of very low income units required by HCD. And so right now the city has below 76. The low income units, right, so far the city has approved 9, but so there's still remaining 24 units in total. It's important to note that right now, based on the preliminary information on the farm worker housing project right here on 5th Street, so that if that project moves forward and construction begins, that would be added potentially in the 2026 year. So that depending on the funding source and the affordability type, that could be counted towards the low income, and that would help the city meet its low income housing requirement. Right now, the main concern would be the moderate and above moderate. However, this isn't an issue unique to Holtville. It's an issue going across the whole state of California, where a lot of developers are finding it more expensive and finding it more unfeasible to develop single-family housing to meet the moderate and above moderate ranges. So right now, the city, compared to the rest, they're pretty good, and we're on track to meeting at least the very low and low, and the moderate and above moderate. We are getting developer interest. However, it's given the cost of construction, many are hesitant to start.
Isn't most of the state assistance for housing built for the renters though? And so, all the money's on them, the developer can come up with maximum amounts out of their pocket. And just as we've seen people that like building apartments at the last minute, they switch a route because they can get money for that kind of housing and less out of their pocket and supported by the state. So it tends to venture away from above moderate on many occasions as a developer who's partially spending their money.
So, I feel like I'm so comfortable, but whenever you're engaging with electeds, but there's something called IDG grants, which support the infrastructure, which is a substantial cost for any single family housing development, dropping in upsizing the lines or dropping in the sidewalks and roads, to support that type of grants, to support subdivisions for moderate and above moderate, as well as affordable workforce housing for higher youth income earners, and the teachers, like your folks that are in healthcare for a single.
So you got your eye on that.
Well, it's just something that we understand that it's not a unique issue it's an issue across the state, so we want to make sure that we advocate for that type of funding and that type of support for our rural community.
And another item to consider when it comes to above moderate and moderate housing is the availability of land, primarily single-family lots. So right now, in the city of Holtville, there's not that many single-family lots that are empty and viable enough for moderate or above moderate housing. So it was enough for the sixth housing element cycle, but it could be a concern moving on to the 7th cycle housing element, 2030 and beyond.
How many are empty right now?
So right now, if we were to look at I don't have the approximate number, but based on the 2022 housing element the city adopted, the city barely had enough housing or vacant lots to address the RENA numbers.
And that's size of lot and density that you could build on those lots, so available dwelling units per lot.
Yeah, and that's based on the realistic capacity. So for example,
That could be like in between my house and like, I guess, a neighbor lot. If it was empty, that's considered a lot, or you're talking
Yes.
about like,
yes.
okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, so primarily above moderate and moderate are the empty lots for single family residents. But a lot of residents are choosing or opting to construct ADUs or accessory dwelling units in their residential lots, which also count towards the RENA. However, they count towards low and very low income since they are required to be deed restricted and affordable. And a lot of them is based on the realistic capacity. So for example, the downtown zone allows 20 units, approximately 20 units per acre. However, many developers or some might not want to develop 20 units per acre, so a lot in the housing element, which is listed for potentially 20, could realistically be 10 and 5. So that's also another factor.
And that's another one of those issues, that is happening throughout the state where just, you either have to annex land, or rezone, land to accommodate the number of units that are being, requested to be, or satisfy the shortened housing shortage in Southern California.
And so now the city has achieved in 2025, completed 5 of their housing element goals. So the first goal is to assist with the city assisted with the preparation of the tax credit allocation committee documents for the Sunset Rose project. So they're using TCAC funds to help finance that project. And in turn, they have signed a deed restriction to allow that property to be affordable for the next 50 or 60 years, as required by the state. So the city has assisted with that, and that is part of the housing lending goals, which is to assist developers to construct new affordable housing units. The housing element goal 29 was achieved, so in January of 2025, the city council adopted an accessory dwelling unit ordinance as required by California law. The city also adopted its density bonus ordinance with that, along with the ADU, and also adopted textual amendments to facilitate additional types of affordable housing. This includes low barrier navigation centers, emergency shelters, farm worker housing, single room occupancies, and such. And then the last one is the city adopted a textual amendment to increase the lot coverage in R3 zones to better allow developers to essentially develop more units in the lots. So prior to that adoption, the R2 zone actually allowed more dwelling units to be constructed than the R3 zone, which is supposed to be the highest density zone. So that ordinance was adopted and amended, and now developers can develop in R3 zones up to about 20-25 units per acre.
It's not a good question to you, but whenever Hawk was thinking about doing those homes over there, that option,
He's approved for R2, yes.
And with that, that concludes the presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Or you can also contact me or Cynthia Mancha, our contact information right there. We're more than happy to provide any information.
Thank you, Francisco. Any additional questions for either Francisco or Cynthia? Thank you. Okay, we'll go to our last,
Oh, you have
we
to
need action.
give the actual.
These are fine.
So we have to approve.
No, listen to that.
Yeah, there you go.
Go on, this way.
I'll move to adopt a resolution 2606 approving the city of Holtville draft 2025 general plan annual progress report.
motion. We have a second?
One second.
Second, roll call.
My good self,
Yes.
John Munger is absent. Bernie Anderson looking rather disgusted.
Yeah.
Vanessa Ramirez.
Yes.
And Mike Pacheco.
Yes.
Thank
you.
Sorry, guys.
1-0 with one absent. Okay, now we'll go to the second, discussion related action to adopt resolution 26-07, authorizing the city officials to sign checks, drafts, or other orders for the payment of money on behalf of the city on all mechanics bank accounts. Mr. Wells.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We kind of do this pretty much annually to change the signature card to put the mayor on. Occasionally we have kind of a flip in personnel that doesn't require it, but of late We did have Mr. Goodsell as a signer, and we think that's a good situation because he's readily available. So the mayor would be added, Mr. Pacheco, and Mr. Goodsell, and Mr. Morris, and then me as signers. I try to be the last hope, and not sign checks too often, but when I need to, I'm here to do it, so.
All right, thank you. Council? We gonna be able to handle that?
Well, yeah, I got a couple people ahead of me.
George and I always,
we've had signing parties.
They come up to my office. They come up to my office and have a signing party sometimes. You know, so.
Red Cup, I don't know.
All right. Then I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2607, authorizing the specified city officials to sign checks.
So we have a motion, and a second, roll call, Mr. Wells.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Goodsell? Mr. Munger is absent. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Ramirez?
Yes.
And Mr. Pacheco?
Yes. Motion passes 4-0, 1 absent. So we don't have anything on information. Staff reports, Mr. Wells, you wanna add any?
Yeah, I was just gonna save stuff for here. Real quick, the Ninth Street project from Olive to Mellon is now fully complete. If you've driven the roadway, it's nice and wide. And
Anybody ridden a bicycle?
Yeah.
well, shh, that's how we got funding, was to get bicycle lane.
Definitely not in July.
Fine looking lady.
It is good looking. Also, I did talk about it a little earlier, but we kind of pushed a little pause on the railroad trestle project. We're going to complete that work, but we need to resize the project a little to fit the funding. So expect some action on that in the coming weeks. Also, Chandler's been working with the SiteLogic folks. We're about ready to get rolling on that project to add solar to both the water and wastewater plants. We've had a couple of meetings with them to get that project off the ground. Cynthia touched on it, but we've been doing a lot of work with Sunset Rose. They're trying to finalize their funding and then get that place open for business. There's some minor issues that have come up, but they're fully constructed and pretty much ready to move in residents when everything is finalized with them. Just another quick thing on the Pine Crossing apartments. I did find out that they are working to be ready to be open in July or August of this year. So that's coming along fairly quickly. And the last thing, because I didn't mention it in the beginning, just some things that I've been, thank a couple of the council members attended a lunch or a dinner with Chris Comrette a couple of weeks ago. We've had a meeting since then. I don't know if we talked about that. We're really working on that front and other fronts to get fully funded on the public safety building. Last week I attended the city managers conference. Unfortunately, it was in kind of a really low class area, Napa. So
No for you.
I know it's terrible. But 11 years as city manager is the first one I've attended. So it was a good experience. Also, just so you know, we last week we had a disaster drill. Chief Silva likes to put us through the paces. This year was the first time in my tenure that he didn't have the water tower fall over during the disaster drill. So I was pretty excited about that.
But the water was contaminated.
Yeah, that was. There's always a water issue, but. And then the last thing, we had a couple of meetings regarding the scope and the issues with the trestle project. We will continue to do that, work on that, and get that going. So, if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. That's things from highlights from my report.
Any questions for Mr. Wells? Just an observation here, you know, the General Assembly for Stags coming up, and you got, everybody that's going registered yet?
I did poll the crowd, and the mayor is signed up. I know you're signed up on a different tack. I am signed up. We're going to talk to Ms. Winners about it. and find out where we are.
Any word from Mr. Medina?
Yes, we did find out that, I did check in on the progress of the plan check, and apparently he hasn't, provided the plan checkers everything they asked for, so I'm gonna get Silva to talk to him this week and find out where he is. I'm trying to keep Silva as the buffer, and I was trying to keep kind of somebody between, so that when I call, they go, oh, this is serious now. So I'll see what Mr. Silva can find out, and then maybe I'll check in with him myself too.
On the same front that I just talked about, League of Cities, I think it's open now, start registering, you know how it's hard to get hotel there?
I keep looking, and I didn't look today, but I'll go, okay.
You get some closer. Some people are lucky to get that one right there.
This year this year's in Anaheim.
Yeah, so, yeah.
I've heard.
I did notice that.
Okay. I've heard that the hotels are gonna be a little easier this year, but just as a straw poll, who's thinking of going? Yeah? October, first couple of weeks of October, so, okay. And then you think you go to Mr. Goodell?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll look at it tomorrow and see if I can get it up and roll. I'll look at it tonight. So,
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rose. Sam, you want to add anything? No. And the rest of the reports, you can see those. Items for future meetings, any suggestions?
I did put down an issue that came up about sponsoring a sponsorship with SCAG. We'll be looking at that.
Okay, thank you. With the chamber on July 4th. Yeah, so, Mr. Wells, so on that, committee or that we're gonna give it a chamber on the, time capsule, thank you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was telling, we had a meeting with this staff, the other day. Kind of wait until the dust settled from the Carrot Festival, then I'm gonna get really kind of a little more serious with them. We have had discussions with them. I know they've had discussions as well, so we're kind of heading in the direction. To my thinking, it's going to be to some level a glorified farmers market kind of thing, and so once the whole notion of fireworks and that kind of thing disappeared, it kind of made it a little easier to put together. But I do think we're going to probably have to start kind of advertising that we're having an event and that kind of thing for out of towners. Christine, did you have anything in the time capsule there from
76?
your wee little years?
I was gonna say so many years ago, but I'm sure maybe a handprint or something. I don't know.
There we go.
That was years ago.
Are we thinking Silva with a rain on Main type of ice cream social?
Yeah, we have talked
It is
about
July.
that. Yeah, we have talked about that for sure. We're going to try to do that kind of thing. So,
Chris, you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
That was, yeah, you brought that up and I thought, man, that was a long time ago, but yeah.
So I told these guys, but I'm sorry to get so personal. I have this reunion of the guys from my class every summer. And I brought it up this summer. Said, you guys all have to come to Holtville this summer. They're like, we're not going to Holtville in July. And then I told them why, and they're like, oh, shoot, I forgot. I'm coming.
Did they remember putting something?
They all remember putting something in
So
there.
Chris, you were on the Bikettes?
No, that was before my time, yeah.
Well, I know she was a basketball player, but I thought you could do the Bikettes.
They weren't.
Could do it all. Actually, the Bikettes had kind of disintegrated, they just didn't do anything else anymore. So, yeah.
They were champions at that time.
Yeah.
There could be something in there about that, who knows?
But there was all different types of classes that had stuff.
Just to clarify, the vacancy is September 23rd.
Oh, okay. I was just looking at, I saw something for sessions, but I didn't.
23rd to 25th.
Oh, no,
Quick
this-
question, do you
Yes.
plan on opening that up then this summer?
July 4th.
July 4th.
Wow.
Yeah, 50
50
years.
years.
We need to definitely advertise on that, definitely put that out there because
Yeah, so it's on the plaque there that is to be opened on July 4th,
we're
2026.
going
So,
through it.
yeah, so we're going through it.
It's only gonna be 115, but it's.
Yeah.
It was
It might be
115,
one
and put everything in there, so hopefully the beer's still cold.
Yeah, this is cover back. George, they were
George
cover
put
back.
George, put an ice chest in there, of all things.
I put dry ice, it should be good.
Okay, we're adjourned, but council, we wanna take a photo with that young lady over there.
Yes.
She's going to school at NAU and,
Go Lumberjacks.
yeah.
Okay.